Food for Thought with Professor David Dete.
Welcome to another episode of Food for Thought with Professor Dete. This is where we have discussions about mental health issues. My name is James Okumu. We want to begin a series looking at our schools and talking about schools and violence. I mean, if you think about it, in our nation, Kenya, what we have been seeing in our schools has really grown in the negative aspect, because when I was thinking about this, I thought back in our days, there are some things you never had. When it comes to schools and maybe violence, bullying here and there, but now we have children who ban schools. We have so many cases of violence in our schools. And so we want to look at that and figure out what is that all about. Professor Dete, good to have you on set again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for allowing us to come to your space.
You're always welcome.
School violence.
Mm-hmm.
How would you define school violence?
School violence, as you say, is a very general term, because in the past we have heard about children hurting other children in the school, bullying them. That's one aspect of school violence. There is also another aspect of school violence which we can talk about as part of this discussion, where children become violent towards the teachers, and we are seeing a lot of it in the United States. I hope it will never come here.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can have violence against the community, the school, and we have heard of very many stories of children setting schools on fire. Of course, the most famous one is Changuli, 2002, and many other instances. And we have had very many cases recently. There was a spike of violence related to schools, burning schools, and causing the problem, mayhem in schools. So there is a lot of violence going on in schools. But among the children themselves, hostility towards teachers, hostility towards authority, and then eventually that may be expressed, as I said, in burning school, setting schools on fire, and riots and things like that. Okay. So a lot of violence in schools, and not in schools, but also in other learning institutions. But
is this a mental health issue?
Well, it's a very good question. Is it a mental health issue? I would put it this way. Such violence in schools, the victims are the ones who get affected psychologically more than the people who perpetrate the violence. But those children who perpetrate the violence, maybe they have personality issues, which we have not been able to study carefully. Okay. I must admit that there's so much we don't know, Pastor. There's so much that we don't know about mental health issues. I mean, even in this country. There are things that there are studies that we call epidemiology. Epidemiology just want to know what kind of mental problems, mental health issues exist in a particular community. Maybe schools, what kind of mental health issues do they have? There's so much that we don't know. Personality issues in children is one area that has not been adequately studied in this part of the world. And I know because recently we are having some discussion with people all over the world, and they were telling me we really don't understand these types of personality issues in the African context, leave alone Kenyan context, African context, and I think you need to do studies on this kind of thing, and of course we are now been moving to that direction. So every time we start looking for problems, we always seem to find them. Whether the teachers deny, or whether the children deny, or even when the parents deny. I mean, we find these problems. And as we were saying a little bit, we can even extend it to other issues. Like, for example, we were some time back, we were looking at, I'm saying this with a lot of sadness, because I can see it coming. Some time back, we we are looking into some problems, sexual orientation problems in children or in Kenyans. And what we found, I must admit, even me, as I have lots of students who work with me, young people.
Yeah.
And I was telling them, no, I don't think we should go and ask those things. Even me denying. We shouldn't go and ask people about sexual orientation. Like, and there's so much and culture and things like that. You say, Professor, come on, let's tell you, we just live in academic.
Yes.
These things happen. So they went and did this survey. And what we found, I just couldn't believe. And I asked them, are you sure?
Yes.
Yes, this is what the data
says.
This is what the data says. We asked these questions. You told us to go and ask this question in this particular way. And this is what they told us. It was so devastating. And I can tell you, I sat on that data. Because those were the times of Bingi Mwananziki, if you remember him. And if we came out with that, that these problems are here, we just thought it was not politically right to talk about these things. But we have no choice. They are there.
Now they are so exposed.
They are now so exposed. So there's another study we are planning to do, and I try to say, let's not ask these things. People say, come on, Professor, let's ask them. They are there. How long are you going to deny these things? And I think it's going to be a big problem for you, people,
the clergy.
The clergy. Because these problems are there. How I would not call them medical problems. I think that's going to be a problem.
Yes. I've already been invited to 1 or 2 forums by those young people. Come, let us discuss.
Let us talk about this.
Let's talk about it. We want you to hear from you, a pastor. And they are very difficult conversations to have.
Yes, very difficult.
I was wondering, Professor, when I look at, just as I was saying in the intro, I see such an escalation where violence in schools is concerned. Back in our day, I went to Jamhuri High School. For the 4 years I was there, I think the wildest thing we ever did was one time they cooked for us lunch and the minced meat was rotten. And what we did is we were served our food and we smeared our food in the dining hall and we said we are not going to class because we were hungry and we were told go home. We did not break the plates because we knew tomorrow we will need them. We did not break the furniture in the dining hall. We did not damage the dining hall. We just made it dirty with the food we thought was bad. But I see such an escalation in the violence we're having in our schools today, that even burning down of a school is not a big issue for our children. And I keep wondering, what happened? Why has it escalated to that degree?
I think there are various reasons, in my view. The most important to me is the children are exposed to, they see what is happening in the United States, they see what is happening in UK, they see what is happening all over the world. It's here. Like when there was this shooting in Texas, children got to know about them. And also changing morals. I think when I went to school, the idea of being rude to a teacher,
unthinkable.
This was totally unthinkable.
It was an abomination.
Please, you can put that way. It was an abomination. You couldn't do it that way. I have had wonderful teachers from primary school, and I know them by names, although they are gone even today. And I remember when I went to high school, we had Mr. Monti. He was such undisciplined. So effective, and we respected him. The idea of raising a voice against the head teacher or the principal was not. You just couldn't think about it. But now, because of what the children are seeing, the exposure that they are getting, and maybe also seeing a lot of violence within the communities where they live, they begin to think that it is normal way of expressing themselves, and I think that could be part of the reason. And then, of course, a lot of stress. And when people are very stressed, especially when children are very stressed, they must perform, they must pass the examination, a lot of work. They are human beings. They get stressed. And when people become stressed, they become extremely irritable. And when they are irritable, one of the ways of expressing their irritability is disobedience and sometimes violence. So it's a combination of very many things.
Unfortunately, all good things need to come to an end. We are out of time for Food for Thought with Professor Ndetei. Thank you so much for tuning in. Give us your feedback on our SMS line to 0316 or our WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. We'll pick up this conversation again on the next episode. Have a great day.
Food for Thought with Professor David Ndetei.
Thank you for watching. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get notified whenever we upload new fresh content every day. Stay tuned and enjoy fresh, uplifting content.